Welcome to Women in B2B Marketing, a show where CMOs, VPs of marketing, and all strong women leaders in B2B discuss their top tactics, strategies, and tips for building high-performing teams, leveraging trends, and ultimately rocking their marketing careers. Made by and for women, insightful for all. I'm your host and 15-year B2B marketer, Jane Serra. Let's dive in. Okay, hi Trinity. Welcome to Women in B2B Marketing. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thanks for having me, Jane. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So for everybody out there, Trinity is the VP of Marketing and ADR at UserGems. So Trinity, tell us a little bit about yourself to kick things off.
So my name is Trinity Nguyen. I am serving the marketing team and the account development rep team here at UserGems. Been with the company for a little bit over 3 years now.
That's big in marketing.
It is big in marketing, and it's a startup. So when we started, it was very small. 4 engineers, founders, and then I was the first non-engineer hire. So
Nice.
Yeah, 3 years is a lifetime, but it's been very fun.
And high growth, it seems, too. You can tell us a little about UserGems, too. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a SaaS company, so software as a service. We're a tool for revenue teams, so sales, marketers, and now we start seeing some customer success use cases as well. So what we do is we help revenue teams generate more qualified pipeline efficiently. And the way we do it is pretty interesting. So we help you track any key contact, customers, users, buyers, champions, etc., when they change their jobs to new companies. And then when they land at the target accounts, not only do we help you capture that job change and then surface all the information so you can reach out, we also help you identify the rest of the buying groups in that target account so that you're not single threading and relying 100% on your champion. You actually help multi-threading and move the deals a lot faster. Help companies generate a lot more pipeline. I mean, it's not a rocket science use case. It's just hasn't been automated for a long time. And we kind of automate from beginning to end, from lead capturing, routing, all the way to where you use, like where your reps or your marketing teams spending their time on, like think about outreach or sales log cadences, like all the information just surface there. So they don't have to go through a lead list and sift through all of that and reach out to these people.
It's funny, I just learned the term multi-threading this week because Latany from Sixth Sense she was on some webinar that I was attending that was amazing, I think from Welcome. But they put this on and Latany was amazing. They also had the CMO from G2 on as well. But they were talking about multi-threading and the importance of that and that being a big strategy for them in 2023. So that's great that now I'm hearing it and that's something that UserGems can help us accomplish. Very cool. I need to look more into UserGems myself.
No, it's interesting because my background, I was in product marketing. So I always work really closely with sales teams. So the term multi-threading is very common with sales team.
Yeah.
I only learned recently as we start doing messaging testing that not a lot of marketers know about the term multi-threading. I mean, we surround the accounts in our programs, but multi-threading is a very sales term. The interesting thing is because of my background, so I've been always like harping on the teams, like multi-thread, you got to multi-thread all the time. And we have enough data to prove that when you multi-thread, when you have more than 3 people in your opportunities, your win rates will increase by 5 times.
Wow.
It's wild. So we knew it intuitively, but until we look at all the data internally to train our team, we're like, God, we got to have everyone in every single opportunity. So
do you see that scales as companies are larger and larger and the deal size that they're selling, or the size of, if you're in SaaS, the platform, if you sell to enterprise, that this is even more important, or you see that return even more as you scale the size of the company?
Absolutely, a lot more. So even not like true enterprise, even like small enterprise, you're thinking about like 1 to 5,000 employees.
Yeah.
We're seeing on our end, like some conversation have 8, 10, sometimes 12 different VPs that the product can benefit. So it's the buying groups. When Gartner a few years said something about buying groups is 7 people on average, I think it's more like 10 now, just from what we've seen in deals.
Wow, that's so interesting. I want to dive into this multi-threading so much more. It makes perfect sense. And I always spoke about on the marketing side of needing to have more context than just that one POC that we put in our CRM, right? Or that we tie to the deal for tracking. We always knew that, but I never had the term multi-threading. I love it. It might be a new favorite term of mine now to spread in the marketing world.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, you just touched on this a little bit, but can you tell me a little bit about how you got into marketing? I know you touched on product marketing, but I know you have an even more interesting path before that.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I always knew that I wanted to go into marketing. I don't know if it's because of all the ads I watched growing up, but I thought I want to become a brand manager. So like on the
Yeah.
P&L, but like very much on the marketing side. I love getting people excited for things. So I thought like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna go there. But the weird thing is because I knew that I would end up there, I decided when I graduated to do something else
Yeah.
to kind of get to the business. So I started out doing risk and compliance, basically operations and strategies, finance as well. So touch all of that. So did the whole rodeo, multiple areas before. I think it would be like 5 years later out of college is when I actually, okay, I understand how the business works. I've
Yeah.
seen different aspects. I have confirmed that I love marketing, and that's how I ended up going to product marketing, which is kind of like strategy combined with marketing
Yep.
and touch on like product a little bit. And now full blown marketing, demand gen, and the whole
Yeah.
shebang.
Did you find it hard to shift into marketing? Because I know a big struggle, so many people, I know the job market right now is so hot, right? With so many people searching. Did you find it hard to break into marketing? Because everybody seems to want the experience already and not see how different experience can be applied into a new position or new role. Did you have any of that friction when you were trying to get into marketing, knowing that was your ultimate goal in the first place?
Yeah. So I think the tricky part about marketing, and which is this training for our own internal sales team, like what is marketing? The tricky thing about marketing is there's so many different functions within marketing.
Yeah.
So when people say, I want to go to marketing, my question is like, well, which function? And then
Yeah.
what is your background? And I'm sure there's going to be some kind of overlap. So if you
Yeah.
come from like something like finance, where you understand like numbers and very data and analytical, maybe there's something around like the ops side or analytics side of marketing that you can kind of like, there's some overlap to kind of ease your transition. And as you learn more about like how to run a campaign, etc. If your background's in like
Yeah.
strategy, where you think more long term and kind of like help the business shape their direction, then I would say product marketing might be an easier way for you to ease into it. That was my path. So I was in strategy and I was like, I want to go into marketing. So it feels like the natural transition is product marketing.
Yeah.
And then
That
from
makes
there,
a
it's
lot of
demand.
sense.
Demand gen, I think, is like the last one, if anyone can wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's easier to transition once you're in product marketing. It's smooth to go into general marketing and overview because you know the nitty-gritty, the strategy, like you said, and the product details, the
Yes.
the technical side of things. So
And then you
interesting.
work so closely with sales team because a lot of time product marketers do sales enablement too. So there's kind of like a translation layer between product and sales team and marketing team. So
Yeah.
you know how to build that relationship with the sales team, which makes for an easier transition into demand gen later
Yes.
on.
Oh, which is definitely something I wanted to touch on from when we were speaking before today. You mentioned how a big passion of yours is sales and marketing alignment. How do you make that happen? I know there's a lot of friction in some teams. I see the need for this. It's a big passion of mine too. I think I had one negative sales and marketing relationship in my early career. And since then, I vowed to never let that happen again. So I'm on the same page as you for sure. But how have you established this where perhaps there wasn't that symbiosis? And how do you maintain it most importantly?
Yeah, this one's tricky. I mean, I can share from my experience. I don't think it's a one size fits
Sure.
all, and everyone has different experience. And also, there's a personalities
Yes.
involved too. So there's got to be some kind of chemistry. So there's that, which is kind of out of your control. But I think from the marketing lead standpoint and sales lead standpoint, which to build alignment, number one is you got to be measured by the same goal, like the exact same goal. That's how you drive all the incentives and programs, et cetera, and it cascades down. So for me personally, I told our CEO when I joined that I actually want my compensation tied to the revenue outcome of the company.
He must have loved to hear
I love
that.
to hear
Music to his ears.
that. Absolutely, from like the CEO standpoint, and
Yeah.
I think that helps me and my head of demand gen now. He also subscribes to that philosophy. He's also very like sales oriented demand gen person. So we
Yeah.
tie a lot of outcome to the revenue. So I think like whenever there's any kind of friction, and there should be some healthy friction between the two teams, at least fundamentally, the two, like both sides know that we care about the same things. We might have different opinions, but
Yeah.
fundamentally the same. So I think that that builds trust. And then, so that's the thing, that's the person, like the personal thing. And then everything after that is more like tactics, right? So how do we make sure that we go after the same accounts, the same buyers together? And it
Hmm.
sounds so obvious. But in my previous experience doing product marketing, when you ask companies at different teams, who's our best account, who's our best persona that we should go after, I kid you not,
Oh,
I got so many different answers from different departments, from product to
yeah.
sales to CS to marketing. So I think that's a layer like the ICP, which we all know. Make sure that everyone really believes that we done that ICP and pull our
Yeah.
resources in to go after those together.
So true. It's almost you want to go old school and print out the ICP definition and put it in front of everybody's laptop. So it's that reinforcement every day.
Oh yeah, for sure. And refresh that every like have like the reporting kind of monitoring your pipeline. Like, is your top target persona still the same, or because of the market shift right now, it's now number two, number three, and there's someone else. So I think agree on that component is like the first, like the first tactical thing, and then
Yeah.
after that, making sure you asked about like how to maintain it is make sure like the sales activities and campaigns and the marketing activities and campaigns go after those accounts together at all
Hmm.
times. This is the orchestration part that a lot of companies talk about. It's a strategy and then orchestration. So how do you make sure that you move in lockstep?
Yeah. Getting into a little bit of a detail on this front is how do you align the outreach if you're both reaching out to the same groups? So you have the marketing campaigns, drip and nurtures, et cetera. And then there's the sales outreach one to one, or if they're prospecting, how do you align systematically as like within your CRM or any kind of systems you're using to not step on each other? It's bound to happen at some point in time, but hopefully for the better because you're getting in
Mhm.
front of the prospect more. But how do you really orchestrate the two worlds working together?
So I think that kind of touched on how one of your questions earlier about the chatted about it before, but the
Yeah.
ADR reporting to marketing. I
Yes.
think that's one component that helped the orchestration. Um,
Ah,
it's harder to, I mean, think like herding cats, right? But it's harder to herd cats that have two captains that running different directions and things like that.
yeah.
So having the SDRs, the ADR, BDR, etc., within marketing helps with orchestrating the steps. Like, here's when the marketing campaigns nurturing kicks in. Here's when the ADR kicks in. If there's no
Yeah.
response, next step is this, and build out that logic and operations, and just automate the entire process.
Interesting. Yeah. So for the listeners, Trinity and I were talking about this earlier, but it's a common debate on if SDRs, BDRs, ADRs, they're called at UserGems, if they should report into marketing or to sales. It typically they report more into sales, I would say more commonly, but that shift has started to happen a few years ago where they start to report into marketing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter technically, right? It's getting the
Mm-hmm.
same job done as long as you have a solid leadership team and strategy. But how do you feel beyond, you just touched on this a bit, that it helps with the smooth transition from marketing to sales when ADRs are underneath marketing, but is there any other benefit? And did you build this team out, I guess, from the start? You didn't shift it from sales to marketing, right? So it was a smoother build for you.
Yeah, it was definitely a smoother build just because I saw how the orchestration and alignment broke down in the
Yeah.
past. So when I joined, I proposed to the CEOs, like, I think we should have these structures to make sure that it's not like marketing have a bunch of MQL throw over the fence. ADR, SDRs don't want to follow up because this is not great leads and they just do their own prospecting. Later on, you're trying
Yeah.
to build out account-based marketing program. And it's really hard to bring them in to do it's messy. So I made a case to build out the ADR team within the marketing from the beginning, so it was smoother. But I agree with you that there's no one size fits all. Frankly, like if you have the right leadership team, you have the right leaders for each to support the SDR function. I think either way would work. I think one caveat for UserGems is majority of our pipeline the last 2 out of 3 years came from account-based program.
Hmm.
So before we
Yes.
ran any demand gen, etc., we were a very small company. So I didn't want to like just run advertising and just kind of hope for the best. So we did a lot of like research on ICP, build our account list, know exactly who we want to go after. So it's very
Mm.
account based focused 3 years ago already. So naturally, it makes sense for the ADR to sit within marketing because the two teams have to move in lockstep to drive the pipeline. So
Yeah.
that's history too that made it suitable for us to have ADR
Yeah.
within marketing.
It makes a lot of sense. You're actually convincing me that I should rethink that on my end. Have you received any kind of pushback from your head of sales? I assume there's a head of sales at UserGems.
Mhm.
Has there been any kind of push to have the ADR team move over to sales, or it just it's working. So why change it?
I mean, it's working, and there's always room for improvement. Like every
Yep.
company, I think it really depends on your head of sales. Well, headcount is not exactly easy. So
Yeah.
my head of sales joined after he joined recently, and I think he was like, "I'm glad you took me," because
That
the
worked
sales
out
team
well.
has a lot of people
Yes.
as well, a lot of complexity as well. So what I've seen so far and other experience, like other companies, sometimes the head of sales, VP of sales are so focused on helping the AEs close all these deals, and AEs have like segments and enterprise, and sometimes AE drives expansion. So there's already so much
So
that
true.
just having more like brain bandwidth to support the prospecting
Yeah.
side, the SDRs, is just alive. So
Yeah.
he was actually
Like, thank you, Trinity.
so it wasn't in that. So that's his perspective. But
Yeah.
I know like some VP of sales would also want the SDR in so they control entire pipelines. I understand that piece too.
Yeah. And every group, like we touched on, it's different at every company, what works for each group, each team. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
You touched on this a little bit too. I'd love to circle back is how, I mean, we're in tough times right now, the recession. I'm so confused on if it's official or not, but we're definitely seeing the numbers in the SaaS world, especially that it's impacting a lot of our partners and companies, right? So have you switched your ICP when we're defining ICP? Has it changed at all for your team throughout this crazy year? And actually the past 3 years, right? I'm
Mhm.
sure it's shifted a little bit over time.
So it's switched, not, I wouldn't say it's switched, but there's another player in the buying group in almost every deal now.
Ah,
CFO,
got
finance leader. we all know
of
we
course.
all know
Yep.
this. So they were never in the picture in our
Yeah.
deals the last 2.5 years. And
Yeah.
now we have a fourth persona that
Yes.
we want to make sure in the multi-threading, we keep them in mind.
Hmm.
So for sure,
That makes sense.
finance, yeah. Use cases also change. I don't know how it is for your company, but like for us, the last 2-3 years, it's just about generate more pipeline, just top line. When people
Yeah.
change the job, that's like warm leads, fast way to close more deals.
Yeah.
But now a lot of conversation, even from VP of marketing, would ask about like, can I use this technology to help with churn prevention? So
Yes.
when champions leave the customer account, gotta let the CSM know to protect the account. So we start seeing other use cases bubbling up.
So that's where the CS team or that new
Yes.
ICP has come about too. So new
Yes.
context and new segment at the same
Yeah.
company. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing at Just Do Know very similar. The messaging is shifting more towards retention, right? Retention and cost savings. That's just what
Yeah.
everybody's mind is on. Hence the CFO coming into the conversations, right? How can we
Yeah.
make this efficient? What is the outcome that this is going to drive? When will it drive this result? All of those expectations. So interesting how this evolves. And it'll be interesting to see on the other side of this, knock on wood, hopefully soon, how things shift back. Will the CFO take a step back, or is this the new norm and they're just always going to be in the conversation? Be
Like it's
interesting
gonna
to
be
see.
the new norm for about 2 years. I don't think
Yeah,
it's gonna shift back anytime soon, unfortunately, based on what I've heard.
agreed. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Crazy times. Well,
Yeah.
let's get back into more of your career. And actually, you're right now, UserGems or in previous positions, what have been your steadfast channels that you focus on? Like, what's always been a winner? Or how has that changed over time? Maybe there isn't just one or two or three channels that you stick with in every role you've had or any company you're at that you see working for really for demand gen, but in general for marketing.
The one that is my personal favorite, but also it just makes logical sense and ties into the whole sales and marketing alignment is just account based. I think
Yeah.
account based is just the way to do things, especially if you want to do things efficiently. So on marketing side, we don't waste dollars and channels and people that don't are not a good fit.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a huge fan of that program. It's hard to build from the ground up, and I've talked to a lot of marketers, and it sounds overwhelming because the way we do
Yeah.
account based now is pretty intense. We target 250 to 300 accounts every single month in a one-to-one basis. So it's
Mm.
really insane. But when we started out, we picked 10 accounts. We tweaked the process to the point that we templatize the whole thing. We have an Asana project of like every single step that needs to happen when, by whom.
Wow.
And then we scale to 30 to 40 accounts per month. and then to 100. And then it took over time, about after a year, we got to 300 accounts per month, one-to-one campaign. So it works really well because I think it just, if I remove myself as a marketer, if I wake up one day, I didn't know about this company X, but somehow I'm surrounded in all channels with a messaging that's personalized and relevant to me, then all of a sudden, at least I pay attention. And then I start questioning, like, how did I miss this company? They seem to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's how we got like a really high hand raisers. So it's not just clicks. We don't really measure any of the clicks or anything. It's how many demo requests, how many discovery calls completed. And it
Yeah.
works well.
Which also helps with the sales alignment, focusing on the metrics that they care about, right?
Yeah.
So this is interesting. The focus on ABM shifting from month to month like this, where it's each month a different segment. How do you, or when do you see them engaging within that month? Or do you kind of focus on this group once and expect the return or the hand raising 3 months later?
Yeah. So our attribution period is 3 months. So if we start in January, the campaign, then
Yeah.
every the end of March, then that counts towards the program. And I say the program because we give the credit to both the campaign team and the ADR or SDR team. We don't split up like whether it's inbound or outbound. No, it's to do it together.
Collaborative.
Yeah. So it's 3 months. And then about 6 months later, after that period, we let the accounts breathe a little bit so we're not just spamming people. And then we recycle them.
Interesting. So every 6 months, you revisit the same group. And I'm sure leveraging your own platform, right? Or leveraging UserGems, you're able to see if they have shifted, like that 30, 40, or now 300 plus folks that you were targeting 6 months ago may have changed positions.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very cool. I love that. And then the attribution. So looking at attribution within the 3 month period, what do you see within ABM? Like what channels are driving the most when you look at different lead sources, paid, or is it like, where do you get the contacts originally? Is it partner marketing, or what channel is helping to drive the most? I know it changes all the time, but.
So for this account-based program during that period, like which channel? Oof, you're not gonna like this one. But been observing this because we wanted to figure this out too. So we get all our contact information from UserGems because UserGems provides all the contact data. So that contact database that refresh every month is the basis for all of our marketing campaign audiences. Yeah. And also the same context also is the pool that the ADRs tap to reach out to people.
Yeah.
So we know that we're targeting the same people at all time in all marketing and sales channels. That's not a clear lead source because what we've seen is the ADRs be prospecting, and we know when people open the emails, click, they watching, they read the content, and then they go to the Google search, type in UserGems, read our website, and then submit a demo request. So which lead source should we count that? Is it the ADR who got their intention in the first place? Or is it the website? Or is it they see that ads on LinkedIn? So there's no clear one. We just know a lot of people see the ads, but they don't click onto it because they don't want to be retargeted.
Yeah.
And with ADRs, they don't click anywhere in the emails because they don't want to be receiving a call immediately.
Yeah.
They do their own search. So we see a lot of like directly from our website demo requests. Yeah. But we know that it wasn't just because of the website. So sorry.
Or they pull it up in incognito, right?
Yes. So we're targeting like the B2B sales and marketers. Exactly. We savvy. We know how
we know the tricks. We know what to avoid. So
sorry, I don't have a clear answer.
No, that's perfect though. I mean, I was reading just this morning how everyone likes to say XYZ is dead, right? Email is dead. We've always heard this, but the one that I've heard today or this morning, I read attribution is dead. And now it's going back to sentiment, which is just so funny because in our careers, I'm sure yours too, there's this gut and sentiment between sales and marketing too, right? You know that this is working, this is not working, and especially branding type things that are hard to measure, right? But it's working, so you keep it up. Podcasting, for instance. But now we've kind of been trained to get away from that and go into anything that we can measure. It's been hammered into us the past 10 years. And now it feels like it's going full circle back to the old days of just follow your gut and know what's working. But it's so hard to do that because now I want to follow the data all the time.
Yeah, it's also hard to present that to the board my
Yes.
gut tells me
Right?
not going to go so well.
No, which is why Chris Walker, right? The self-reported attribution, which is such a fancy term for going back to the old days of adding the how did you hear from us field on your
Yeah.
forms, on your website. And it's so funny tracking. Have you started to do that? Have you added that
Yeah,
field
we
back onto
added
your
that
forms? You
one. Yeah,
have.
I had a demand.
Yeah.
He's like, let's just add it because I hate big
Yeah.
forms. Like, because I came from the
Yes.
enterprise tech way back when,
Yes.
and you had to fill out like 20 questions.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's like, please just let me do this optional field of tell us where you heard about us,
Yeah.
and people actually fill it out. And sometimes
Yeah.
they give you the whole entire journey, especially if they
Wow.
are B2B marketers
Because
because they
they're marketers.
understand. They
Yeah. They get
understand.
it.
They get it. They're like, here's the keywords I searched for. This is where I heard
Oh,
about
I
you. But
love
the whole
it.
entire journey, it was that person was our favorite.
Wow. Okay. I'm definitely adding this back to my forms. I've been trying not to for the same reason as you. I just hate making the form lengthy. I like the idea of it being optional. So you
Yeah.
make it an open text field then,
Yeah.
right?
Open text field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it make it hard to analyze? Because
Yes.
that's the hard part, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to go in and
Yeah. Yeah. I
find
was
trends
gonna
or
say that
tags.
it's harder to do analysis at scale because
Yeah.
people write in whatever free way form,
And
but
misspell.
and misspell. So you can't even do keywords, anything like that.
Yeah.
But we listen to podcasts, we read books, right?
Yeah.
I would just export it out, the whole report for that month's opportunities, and read that column like a novel, drinking
Yeah.
coffee, eating croissant. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
true. All
Mm.
right. Definitely have to circle back on this. And also, we talked about something else in channels and what's working and what's not. And I know you have a very organized separation of X% goes to this, X% goes to this, and then you leave a percentage for testing and experiments, right?
Mhm.
Definitely see the value in experimenting and seeing what works, what doesn't, and trying new things all the time. You always have to have something on the back burner. So, what is your current spread and what are you experimenting on now, or what have been a couple of your favorite tests this year?
Yeah. If we had this conversation this time last year, my answer was 80% on programs that we know work, kind of like just double
Mhm.
down on the things that we already tested and scaling, and 20% on experimental things. So 2 years ago, the experimental things, like the 20% was to how to build the brand without buying billboards and TV ads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Last year, the 20% was just different channels, Facebook, Instagram, like how to be casual and fun. Like we just try all kinds of stuff. This year, with the current environment that we're in,
Yeah.
right now we're doing the planning and budgeting. I think the experiment budget's gonna probably go down to about 5 to 10 max. Oh,
Yeah.
just because we have to justify things a lot more, but also make sure that we can outlast whatever this recession is.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably between 5 to 10% on experiments.
Yeah. All about efficiency right now,
All about
creating value.
efficiency. Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's just because of the environment that we're in. Actually, I think the healthy mix is 80/20. Just because as you scale, you need to find new channels to feed the
Yeah.
beast.
Yeah.
So without testing, you're not at some point, whatever works already, gonna plateau out. Every marketing campaign is gonna plateau. So it's a tough time, but I think we just have to try to be creative and see what we
Yeah.
can do with the 5-10%.
So
Um,
true. It's that phrase right now, right? Of do more with less that we
more
feel
with
in the
less.
marketing teams.
Yeah. We're gonna see do more with less and help you achieve more with less in every single
Oh
campaign and
yeah,
website now.
everyone's new slogan. That's so true.
Like the in this unprecedented time, remember in 2020? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
This is the new unprecedented.
Yeah.
I feel like
Efficient growth.
every year just keeps topping itself, right?
Yeah.
Well, what have been some of your favorite tests lately? Have you gone into TikTok yet?
We tried a little bit on TikTok, but I think it was more brand
Yeah,
and word of mouth. I don't know. We got close one from TikTok just by chance, but I think
great.
that was
Yeah,
just luck
yeah,
because you can't control the ICP that come in, who's going to request a demo, right? So,
mhm,
and if it's not the right fit, then it's just wasting the SDR time and the AE's time because we know it's not going to close. So what we experiment, and it's not new. I know some companies been doing it, is the LinkedIn conversational ads. I heard
yeah,
about it 3 years ago, but I was very skeptical. Even until May this year, I was still skeptical.
yeah. Is this
Um,
InMail? The InMail
it's
sponsored
the
ads?
in-mail
Yes.
thing, yeah. with like different kind of incentives and conversation, etc. So it's like our LinkedIn inbox is a nightmare. So I
Yes.
was very hesitant until I
Yeah.
heard, I think Tim Davidson from Directive.
Mhm.
He's a content creator, but he also run demand paid media for Directive agency. And he shared a bunch of like really interesting stats. And that got me over the hump. We tested it and it's now our second reliable source of our pipeline. This is one of the
Wow.
double down
Yeah.
programs. But now that I say it,
Amazing.
it's going to plateau. Now we have to find
Right.
a new source because
Knock on
every
wood.
marketer is going to
Don't
do
jinx
it.
it. Yeah. So funny. But so it started out in the 20%. And because it was so successful, it's now one of your core channels.
Yeah.
That shows right there the importance of having that experimentation budget.
Yeah. Yeah. That is one of them. I think at like events is another one that we experimented a lot this year.
Yeah.
We scaling that down just from like because of the intensive amount of work that you have to put in, build events, flying like the cost side,
Yes.
and then the follow-ups, the
Logistics.
ROI, the logistic. It's just I think the ROI is not quite there yet because we scale down. We still do some events, but we scale down, be more strategic where we go to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you, on the event side, do you see a specific type working better in B2B? Is it smaller partner events or the large scale that you just have to be at to keep that brand presence?
I heard both. So for us, we haven't done the small scale. We have the customer advisory board, etc., but we haven't
Yeah.
done the local dinners, etc. I heard
Yeah.
amazing things about that, especially if you do with partners, so you can split the cost.
Yeah.
So we would love to be able to try that one, but let's see how the budget conversation goes.
Yeah. If it fits into that 5%
If
for
it fits into that
for
five
Q1.
percent, yeah. And then like the big one, I don't think it's a large or small. I think it's just gotta make sure the attendees
Yeah.
are exactly who you want to go after. So we tested with a lot of different audiences and we had to cut a few just because it's a great event. We had a great time there and people liked us, but it's just not the right fit. So those opportunities
Yeah.
didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. That makes events are they're a whole beast in and of themselves. Do you have an event person on your team or what is this kind of taking a step back? But what's the makeup of your team? We know ADRs are under marketing, but what other positions are on your team?
We had an event person in our team, and she did a phenomenal job. Just because we scaled down the event for next year, so it just doesn't make sense to have the headcount anymore.
Yeah.
The makeup of the team, so like the umbrella of like marketing. So one on one side is like typical marketing function, the other side is the SDRs, ADRs. So we have demand gen, content, social, and we gonna have like next year product marketing to help educating our
Back
customers
to
and
your
buyers.
roots too. Yeah.
Yeah, back to that.
It'll
So
be a
I've
fun
been trying
time.
to wear that hat for a while. I'm like, I need someone to help
Yeah.
because we want to generate a lot more content that's helpful, like product centric content to help people understand how to use this kind of data, playbooks,
Yeah.
etc. And then the other side is the SDRs or the ADRs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And having a dedicated social person, does that person oversee paid and organic or mostly organic?
Organic.
Yeah. I
So
love that.
it's organic. She's social and communication. So on the social side,
Mm.
is the from the company social, organic side, but also employee advocates.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's such a smart combination.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's just a perfect fit for it. She loves empowering other people, help people
Yeah.
building out their personal brands and training them how to be like comfortable. I never wrote anything on LinkedIn
Yeah.
until like this year when she joined and we kind of trying to get
Put
over
a
that
plan
hump.
together. Yep.
The moment you get over that hump and post it a few times, you feel more comfortable.
Yep.
Then it helps also like building, it helps with the sales team. It helps building trust for the brand because they start seeing user gems everywhere.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so true. Have you also gone into more communities
Mm.
in building the brands? She probably identifies your social person, the different community opportunities for different evangelists, let's say, at your company.
We partnered with communities like Pavilion, Rev
Mhm.
Genius, etc. I love communities. I've been with Pavilion for 2, 3 years. I definitely see the benefit. It's
Yeah.
just a lot of work to
Yeah.
maintain a community, be present all the time,
Yes.
become like a trusted source of information or whatever that area that your brand is about. So we haven't invested. But I know a lot of B2B brands right now are building out their own communities.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. Exactly that. It feels like there's so many communities out there already. They all exist. It almost feels like it's very difficult to find that gap that hasn't already been filled in the community landscape. At this point, do you feel like it just makes more sense to partner with communities and engage in existing versus building out your own?
I think so. I mean, that's my belief, but like I said, like other companies,
Depends.
if they seen success and figure out the playbook to build and maintain community and drive business impact in a measurable way, then
Yeah.
bravo. That's
Yeah.
incredible. I
That's
don't
true.
have that playbook. It's just a lot of work
It
and
is.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Just like podcasting, we were talking earlier, podcasting is another, it's a resource suck. It's amazing and worth it, but it's a lot. It takes a full-time position to maintain podcasts, very
Yeah.
similar to the community space.
Hmm.
In a similar vein, what do you think we've talked a lot of different channels today, which has been awesome. Thank you for sharing your playbook. I know you said you were an open book on that. And I see that UserGems has playbooks listed on your site. So everyone check it out. But what do you think right now is overrated and what is underrated and not being used enough?
What's overrated? There's so many things that's overrated.
Hmm.
Frankly, it's just I think I have two, really. So we talked about attribution and
Yeah.
and that one's been around forever. But with the current economy and with finance have a stricter look at like all the spend and everything, I think even though as marketers we know that attribution is flawed, I have a feeling that it's not going to be easy for us to get rid of it, even though we intuitively know there's dark social, there's word of mouth, things are not captured and measured. But because we can't come to the CFO or the board saying that, I feel like there's still going to be a lot, if not more, overemphasis on attribution, one shape, one way, or one form, something like that. And I think it's
Yeah.
overrated, but I don't know how we're going to navigate that water because if I put my hat, I switch my hat from like marketing, but as a business owner, then I understand why they want to know.
Yeah.
So
Overrated necessity, perhaps.
overrated, painful, completely
Hmm.
flawed, but necessity. So,
Hmm.
so
You have to show the data in some way, shape, or form.
yeah, yeah.
It's
So I
true.
think that one is definitely gonna be even more overrated.
Yeah.
And good luck with us marketers.
Yeah. And would you say on the underrated side, some things you touched on? I think ABM probably is your big one. Anything else?
When you touch on the community piece of the
Mm,
word of mouth, so we don't capture this information anywhere. It's really just ad hoc by chance. Someone went to an executive dinner by some organized by some community, and then one person just by chance talk about like how much they love UserGems, and because
yeah.
everyone there is a CRO, the ears perked up because it's like unsolicited like testimonial right there. So we
Yeah.
got that, and then someone like by chance in another like virtual training session for SDRs said that they love
Yeah.
UserGems. That
Yeah.
drives some pipeline. So this. I think Chris Walker called this like the dark funnel.
Hmm.
It's we know now, but then we don't know how to measure it. We don't know how to templatize and scale this, and we can't attribute. So this is very underrated, but this is the most qualified source of pipeline. People
Yeah.
trust their peers. So I think that one is underrated.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, a perfect example you just gave yourself in sharing this topic is Chris Walker. Right? We've mentioned him like 3 times in
Mm-hmm.
this. I mean, I want to say I swear I'm not a fangirl, but almost all marketers are to a degree right now. He's definitely in the marketing industry. But now, anyone who does not yet know him that's listening to this show, maybe one or two people, they'll go and Google him now, and then that'll get over to him. He'll have a new follower, and who knows if that helps refine labs. But
Yeah.
that could be just every little mention. So just getting yourself out there, your company out there more, and then having it being part of the conversation. It's just so hard to track, but
Yeah.
invaluable.
Yeah. So I think like whoever that can find a way to scale word of mouth
Yeah.
organically, that's $1 billion idea right there. I don't know how to do
Right.
it.
There's a new SaaS tool out there for something related to this. It just doesn't. There's somebody's idea that's genius that'll come out in the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I know as we wrap things up, I have one question, bringing it back to you personally. What would you tell, knowing everything you know now and going through it kind of full cycle into all things marketing with product and general and ABM, everything, what would you tell your younger self who already knew they wanted to get into marketing? What would you either warn yourself about or just tell yourself to save a lot of time in learning?
I think it's something that I'm still telling myself is have faith in yourself a little bit more. You're going to figure this
Yeah,
out. And everyone is just trying to figure it out as much as you are right now. So I
so
think I
true.
would tell that to myself back then, still telling myself today and probably tomorrow too.
Yeah, have more patience and grace for
Yes.
yourself, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think I'm pretty good at having that compassion and grace for others, like on my team or colleagues, but it's a lot harder to have it for yourself, right?
Yeah. Wow. When you said that, I feel seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Like have more grace and patience for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's, yeah, we need to print that out and
Write that
put it
on the
somewhere.
mirror.
Right on the mirror. It's insane, but it's so true. I wonder if your podcast is about like female, the women in marketing. I wonder
Yeah.
if it's a thing. I don't know if it's a gender thing or is it maybe men have
I
it too. They just don't
wonder.
want to talk about it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. It's
Yeah.
funny, men want to talk, right? They're more so seen on podcasts, but not about this side of things.
Yeah.
Being,
Yeah.
generalizing right now for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But like women
interesting.
are strong at advocating for others, being more
Yes.
patient and caring for others, but for
And
themselves.
recognition. Yeah, it's
Yes.
true.
Yeah.
And also I think I don't have the stat handy, but if you Google it, I'm sure it's there that imposter syndrome it's stronger in women
Yeah.
statistically. So I think it's the same. It's very much related, right? Where you doubt yourself or are hard on yourself. I'm sure it goes along the
Hmm.
same lines.
Yeah. And in my grad school, we took a negotiation class, and she's a really famous negotiator. She incredible, and she said that women are exceptionally good at negotiating for someone else. So if they were a negotiator
Yes.
like her or a lawyer defending someone, fantastic.
Yeah.
But when they negotiate for themselves, that's when like you don't want to recognize that person anymore.
Yeah.
So one of the trick that she was training back then is kind of trying to mentally and emotionally disengage or detach yourself from that story. Imagine that you're negotiating, say, a salary or a raise or whatever for somebody else.
Yeah.
Then you can be more direct and more objective instead of like doubting yourself.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true. I always tell people this. I hope I'm a good marketer. I'm a strong marketer for companies, for other people. I am horrible at marketing myself in interviews or if someone asks you what you do, it's so hard for me to put that to words because
Yeah.
it almost feels boastful, right?
Yeah.
But it's if I'm speaking about somebody else, a colleague, it's so easy for me. I can pitch them all day or a company, but not myself.
I blame the education system and the culture. You gotta be humble, be ladylike.
Yes, yes. So true. We need that negotiator
Yeah,
that you're talking about needs to be a guest speaker at career day at schools
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, for sure.
Love it. Well, Trinity, I have one sign off question, and that is from a previous guest. I'm trying to get it right this time.
Mhm.
So I'll ask you for a question for the next guest offline. It'll be a secret for the next guest.
Okay.
But this question is, what are you doing more of now than you were 18 months ago or 2 years ago? It can be work, strategy, personal, anything that comes to mind. Good question, right? I
I
love
work
this
more
one.
now than two
Yeah, work
years
more.
ago.
Yeah. Do more with less, coming back up.
Uh, what do I do more now? I think a lot more self-reflection of everything that's, I don't know if it's because of like 2 years, you grow into 2 years, or just a lot of things going on, and the companies also grow. So you're managing a larger team with different
Yeah.
backgrounds and situations. So I think there's more of that self-reflection yourself, but also kind of a lot more attuned to like other people. But I think I'm getting
Yeah.
to a point where I can sense someone's feelings just by looking at them or what's going on. It's pretty
Oh,
wild.
I love that. That speaks to my
Yeah.
heart because I'm very, very high EQ focused. That's
Yeah.
something I'm very big on. So it sounds like your EQ has grown exponentially over the last couple of years.
Yeah, sometimes I'm trying to like build a
Too
Chinese
much.
wall to block it out. So I'm like, oh, I really don't want to get there right
Yeah.
now.
Rein it
But
in a
yeah,
little bit.
rein it
Yeah.
in a little bit because like it goes back to like caring for others and advocating for others would be not strong for us. I think it's the
Yes.
EQ thing too. I feel like I don't know if you feel the same way. We've attuned to someone else, feeling our EQ toward them. We can read them pretty well and we want to be there to support. But if we let too much of that absorbed into ourselves, then we're
Yeah.
not taking care of ourselves either. And it's hard
Yes.
to, like a sponge, you soak up so much, at some point you're gonna spill out, right?
Yes. It
So
sounds
that's what
like you're a fellow empath for sure. So you feel the feelings of those around you. So you have to keep them at a distance to an extent so that,
terrible at that. I
yeah,
don't know how to do it. So if anyone listening to this
same.
and have a tip to
Share all the
to
advice.
help
Yeah.
me being what is empathetic but not sympathetic. The empathetics you understand,
Yeah.
but you don't absorb the feelings of the situation.
Yes. I like that.
I'd love
I
to know
need
the
that
tips.
too.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's even to the point where if I'm watching a show with my husband, he makes fun of me all the time because I feel what the characters are feeling. I'm like, why is she doing that? I'll cry. He's like,
Yes.
she's not doing it. You mean the actress that's doing it?
Oh my God.
Funny.
I'm very similar. I don't
Yeah,
know how to
maybe we
say
shouldn't watch
it.
a movie together, Trinity.
Yeah. Just like here's a box of tissue. They just say something
Yes.
completely like ridiculous. I'll be like, ah, what's
Yeah, so
happening?
true. So true. Well,
Yeah.
Trinity, it has been amazing having you on the show. I know just for everyone listening, Trinity is a fellow Miamian, I learned recently. So I hope that we get to meet up for coffee or drinks sometime soon and continue this chat for sure.
Absolutely. I will ping you for that. And I'll send you the question for the next guest.
Yes, please do. Thank you, Trinity.
Thank you, Jane. And congratulations on the show.
Thank you. Yeah, everybody like, follow, listen, rate us 5 stars. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you next time.